talking about 1 Peter 2 verse 2. So I'm going to go ahead and read the verse and we're going to dive into our discussion. So 1 Peter 2 verse 2 says, like newborn infants long for the pure spiritual milk, that by it you may grow up into salvation. And if you read the devotional this week, I shared a story about when my youngest was only a few weeks old and I had to pull over less than a mile from home to feed him because he was so desperate to eat. And the way that example has stuck with me over the last couple of years has been very powerful in light of this verse. And I think as moms, we can understand this verse in a whole different context, especially when we have very young children who are eating frequently, babies that are eating around the clock. And what I've just been meditating on this week is the way that the Lord has created us with a longing in our hearts and our souls, and it can only be satisfied by Him, and that He wants to fulfill that, and it's for our benefit to grow up in maturity. And just like our children at any age, but especially as infants, they need certain nutrition to grow and to be strengthened and to develop. There's only certain types of things that our souls can use to become mature and to develop in our faith. And if we don't long for the things of the Lord, if we don't immerse ourselves in the things of the Lord, then we will be spiritually malnourished. And that's what this verse is speaking to. A couple of other things I wanted to share with you about this verse that have been on my mind, because I don't know about you, but I can find it personally challenging to crave the things of the Lord. I think it goes against our flesh. It definitely goes against our culture, and there's so many other things that are competing for our attention and competing for us to want to feel satisfied and comforted by. And the truth of the matter is we're never going to fully experience abundant life and that satisfaction apart from the Lord, because there's a part of us that can only be satisfied by Him, since He is our Creator and Father. So some things I've thought about along these lines are, I just think about different areas where I crave. And I think for all of us, just like in this verse, he uses the example of milk and babies craving milk. And I think for all of us, craving is very regularly tied to food. And I think about how I have a sweet tooth and I don't typically crave healthy food. And it is kind of this lie, I think, that our minds play like a trick on us, that if we eat these unhealthy foods, it will feel so good. And it might taste good for a moment, but ultimately, you know, our bodies don't feel as well as when we eat the healthy food. And that's the same thing with the things of this world and with the things of the Lord. We can think that filling this craving with other things might feel good for a moment, but it won't lead to the lasting health and nurture that the things of the Lord will. The second part of this verse actually says, verse 3, the following verse, it says, if indeed you have tasted that the Lord is good. And we're going to be talking later this week about how God invites us to taste and see. He actually, tells us to come to Him and see how good He is for ourselves. And I think that's like how when we practice health in other areas, we see that it really is good. Even though it might be hard to get started, it might be hard to stick with it, we see the benefits and our body longs for those things more and more. When the coronavirus started, I started working out regularly for the first time since before I had children, which has been a solid 5 years. So it was really hard to get started. My body wasn't in that routine, it wasn't in that rhythm, and I had to motivate myself and push myself to do it regularly. Now that I've been doing it regularly for 6 months, it's something that I crave and it's something I desire. And I think it's the same with the Lord. When we go to Him daily and His Word, the more that we do that, the more our soul will long for it. When we see the goodness that He offers, we see what our spirit receives and what we feel and what we learn and the way that we're strengthened by spending time with Him and in His Word, it will draw us closer and closer to Him. So I hope that you are just reminded this week, whether you have a newborn who's eating around the clock or hungry teenagers, when you see your children are hungry for food, that it will ignite a passion in you to be hungry for the Lord and to seek Him and go after Him the way that my 4-year-old looks for a snack in the pantry, and that you are satisfied in Him and you see the nourishment that His word and His way of living, what that brings to you in your motherhood and in your life and beyond. And I just think, just like other healthy habits in our life, as we live these out, it will be an example to our children, and they will follow in our footsteps and want to do the same thing. So it's just another way we can teach health to our children, just spiritual health in this regard. And I hope that you are encouraged to practice those things, knowing they don't have to be perfect, but just simply having a longing and a desire for the things of the Lord will be contagious and will have a ripple effect on our families. So I hope you have a great week. We're looking forward to connecting with you more on social media, and we'll talk to you soon. Keep pressing on. Bye.